The way that communicating needs, wants, and hurts becomes controlling is either how it's being communicated, like you statements versus I statements, and what happens after. Everything about abusive dynamics is the abuser weaponizing their emotions as a means to control you, because they set unrealistic expectations on your responsibility to manage their emotional needs for them, which creates this dynamic where you're walking on eggshells and you're afraid of triggering their emotions. But all of their emotional needs are centered around you validating them. They insist on being prioritized and centered all the time because that feeds their self-worth, which validates them. So when you can't meet their needs because it's unrealistic to expect your partner to be your everything, they make you feel inadequate or guilty, which is emotional manipulation. This need for validation is also why if you challenge them, they feel attacked. By challenging them or holding them accountable, you're pointing out their flaws and no longer validating them. So I think the key is when you're unable to meet their needs, i.e. validate their existence, how do they respond? Do they demonstrate understanding and know how to self-soothe? Or do they express their hurts to manipulate you? You're my partner, you're supposed to meet my needs. So I have a client whose ex very much weaponized needs to manipulate and control. But all of her needs were rooted in needing validation from her partner. She needed her partner to constantly tend to and cater to her needs, even if it was to her partner's self-detriment. Example, she wanted her partner to go out with her to the bar even when her partner, 1, didn't drink, and 2, had to be up at 6 a.m. for work the next morning. And her partner would offer compromises, like, on the weekends I can. But if she didn't go when she wanted her to go, she was told, you don't prioritize me, I feel unimportant, and then she would post pictures on social media with other girls hanging off of her. My client was guilted and then punished when she chose to center her own needs. And this is how you know if the person you're with is using their needs, wants, and hurts in a controlling way. You're punished when you don't meet them. In my relationship, I meet my own needs that pertain to my self-worth. I feed my ego, so I feel good about myself, and I don't expect my partner to do that. But in abusive relationships, they need you to feed their self-worth. And I know that as a victim, you might think, I do this, I seek validation from my partner. I have emotional needs and they're not meeting them. Consider that through the cycle of abuse and intermittent reinforcement, they have conditioned you to need this validation from them. But the main difference between you and them is this. You want a fraction of their attention. You just want to feel considered. They're demanding all of your attention and their needs are always more important. You're wanting them to provide emotional safety where your emotions and experiences are seen as equal and valid. They want you to validate their existence as a human being. So there is this imbalance. I get a lot of pushback from people at the idea that we are responsible to meet our own needs. I think some of this comes from social conditioning and faulty beliefs around relationships, but mostly because it's way easier to ask somebody else to meet your needs than to figure out who the fuck you are and validate yourself. If your partner isn't meeting what you decide your needs are in order to feel safe in a relationship, instead of manipulating them, leave them. Find someone who naturally meets your needs. Here's the thing though, until you stop expecting other people to meet your needs and you learn how to meet them for yourself, and validate yourself, you're going to run into the same problem over and over.